I know that many of our listeners are worried about the upcoming changes to relationships and sexuality education, and our next guest is going to be assisting parents, because while a lot of us might be concerned, we mightn't be sure, well, what's the best way to approach a school, or what are the things in particular that we should be highlighting. Well, on the line to tell us about a guide for Christian parents that's looking at SPHE, and it's published by the Christian Institute in Ireland, I have Ciarán Kelly. Ciarán, tell us a little bit, just first of all, about just some of the things that you think parents should be aware of in terms of these curriculum changes.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Wendy. Okay, so there's different changes happening at different times. There's some stuff that's already gone on in junior cycle. That started in 2023. Senior cycle, some stuff started happening back last September. And then primary, there's some changes that are coming in from this September. And people don't really know what's going on in the people that we meet, the Christians that we meet around Ireland. They're unaware of these things, but they have this general sense of concern. Now, the big thing to take away is that parents have got power. Okay, parents have got power, and so there's some things that it's right to be concerned about. I mean, if you look, I won't go into the sort of the details level by level, but if you just think in general terms, you've got to think about some of this teaching and the fact that it's coming across in a secular way. It's not coming across really with perhaps a moral framework, certainly not a Christian framework in most cases. It doesn't mention marriage. There's no mention of marriage anywhere in the curriculum, really.
It's bizarre, isn't it, though, when you think about that, from a perspective of when we're talking about relationships and how we interact with one another. And Ciarán, because obviously for a lot of people listening, they're going to be looking at this maybe through their Christian faith. But I think even outside of that, obviously most parents, what do we want? We want our children to be happy. The curriculum, I don't think, maybe it mentions it once. It doesn't mention love. It doesn't mention marriage. It doesn't really focus on commitment and confusing ideas around gender and all those sorts of things, which I think for the majority of parents, they are things that we hope for our children in terms of commitment, love, happiness, when we think of their relationships. So the fact that there isn't a focus on that is, I think, probably worrying for parents of all faiths and none.
I would think that's right, and you just need to look at the referendum. That it could be argued that there were those in power who really just set out to undermine marriage, and the resounding result in the referendum said that as a country, people think that stillness marriage is hugely significant, and that was I think that would have made certain people sort of sit up and ask themselves the right questions, but when that may filter through into the actual curriculum is a different question. There's a change in ministry, as I know you'll know. Marriage is one thing. It's context. The context in which this stuff is taught is really important, and if it comes across in a kind of an anything goes kind of way, that's a problem. If it comes across if the dangers of pornography are taught about, then good. But if it's taught in a way that normalizes pornography, then that's a problem. If transgender stuff is a massive issue, I think everybody knows, and how that's taught is important. So what this booklet that we provided, all it does is it says, well, this is how we got to where we're at. These are some of the things which we think people need to be aware of. And we look at the individual parts of the curriculum and what it has to say and what the intended learning outcomes might be. But a really important bit is parents can feel very kind of, well, there's just nothing I can do. What can I do? And first of all, you need to know what's going on. You need to know what your school's doing. But the second thing is to say there's a lot of stuff in the curriculum, in the Constitution, in law more generally, that should encourage Christian parents to say, well, hang on a minute, if I become aware that there's something problematic, I've got some things that I can point to and persuade the school to do something different. And that's really the point of this wee booklet is we know parents are concerned, we know grandparents are concerned. There are these areas that they're right to be concerned about, but there is some stuff that they can do.
And that's the thing is part of this seems to me, Ciarán, about empowering the parent. We are constitutionally the primary educators of our children, but on a positive side, and I'm sure you've had some feedback from parents, is in general, parents that have sat down and chatted to teachers and principals, they're very much interested, open, wanting to accommodate all these sorts of things. So do we just need to have a little bit more confidence in some of our concerns here, that they're perfectly legitimate and they do need to be addressed?
Absolutely right. I genuinely couldn't put it better myself. That is exactly what people should take away from this. That teachers are busy people. They are busy people, and they, it's very likely that there's the ins and outs of what educational law says and what the curriculum says. They're not aware of that. They're trying to prepare some lessons. Perhaps there's some ready-made resources. We've got to be mindful of external bodies that will try and influence that unhelpfully. And if you sit down with your teacher and say, I'm concerned about this, it's very likely that you're representing the views of other people as well. And I have experience of this as myself. When you bring your concerns to the attention of teachers, often, or a head teacher, often it's just something they've never thought about. And they are more than happy, not in every case, but often more than happy to just say, oh, okay, I hadn't thought about this. I understand where you're coming from. Let's see what we can do. So parents, we know parents have had a really positive impact on their schools, not just their own child, but on children of others as well, and on the school as a whole. So I'd really encourage people to just take on board what you've just said. Have a bit more confidence. There's a lot that you can do.
Well, thank you so much, first of all, for putting together this guide, which is so useful, but also just for highlighting it, giving parents that confidence we've talked about, Ciarán. It's been great to have you.